A college admission scandal is rocking some of the most elite schools. It's heartbreaking to see what has become of this city that we all love so much in just a matter of hours. But we are on Broadway right now as we've kind of been moving around. We're in front of this shoe store, and you can see a lot of these stores have sort of these gates to cover and protect the windows, but it doesn't look like they succeeded in that. It is the new way to work. But as co-working spaces are popping up all over the country, some of them are targeting a specific clientele. And unfortunately, he's doing what horses do right now. He's running to what he knows is safe. Yeah. And that is this particular stable, which is unfortunately on fire. But just because there isn't an organized activity out here at the National Cemetery, that doesn't mean that you can't stop by and pay your respects to the tens of thousands of veterans who are buried here. The Cosmic won't hit stores until December 1st. It's a cross between the popular Honeycrisp apple and another that's disease resistant. I mean, he's a force. Right? He is a basketball force and a human being, too. So we have to remember that he's not only just Kobe Bryant, the basketball player. He is Kobe Bryant, the husband. He is Kobe Bryant, the father. He is Kobe Bryant, the friend. So there are a lot of people who are mourning his loss. Most of the people we met here at the service never even met Nipsey Hussle. They came because they felt moved by his music and what he did for his community of South Los Angeles.
Come forward!
It was a remembrance fit for legends.
From across the globe, soldiers, sailors, and airmen united.
But as the world looked back on 75 years since the D-Day invasion, across the pond here in America, Arthur Valenzuela didn't need a reminder.
We landed there behind the enemy lines.
Valenzuela flew into Normandy on a military glider.
A glider's a plane that had no motor. The pilot would try and to stop the glider. He would hit a tree or anything.
On D-Day, he landed in a field.
When we land, run for cover. The Germans all over.
The battle in Normandy lasted 30 days, but this veteran remembers the nights.
Oh, raining and rain cold, and God, you just kneel down and cover up whatever you can.
At 96 years old, some of the details of his time in Normandy are lost. He doesn't even remember how many days he was there, but he does remember how he got out.
When we ran back for cover, I got hit. I went down. Medics were carrying me out of there, you know, and I remember the artillery bombs were around there. I remember telling the medics to leave me alone for them to run for cover. I'm telling you, they were brave.
Shot in the back and earned the medal that no one wants.
This is a parachute.
Decades later, his hardware sits proudly on the mantle of his Pico Rivera home, a reminder of the past and the fight.
I was fighting for my country, fighting for my family.
And fighting for the freedom we've now held for 75 years.
They bravely risked their lives for our today.
Joy Benedict, CBS 2 News.
I'm gonna go straight from the heart.
Emotions were running high at the Staples Center Friday night as the Los Angeles Lakers paid tribute to Kobe Bryant and the 8 others killed in a helicopter crash Sunday.
Alyssa Altobelli, John Altobelli, Carrie Altobelli, Peyton Chester, Sarah Chester, Christina Mauser, Ara Zabanya, Gianna Bryant, and Kobe Bryant.
LeBron James finally broke his silence about losing his friend.
Tonight, we celebrate the kid that came here at 18 years of age, retired at 38, and became probably the best dad that we've seen over the last 3 years, man.
Amen.
Usher sang Amazing Grace.
Say, can you see?
Boys to Men from Bryant's hometown of Philadelphia sang the national anthem. The tribute included 24.2 seconds of silence to represent Kobe's number 24 and his daughter Gianna's number 2. Here outside the Staples Center, it is a sea of purple and gold as fans have been gathering here, leaving flowers, balloons, and other memorabilia since Sunday. Fans say Bryant inspired them.
Seeing his interaction with his daughters and with his wife, it's is really touching and it really makes me want to strive to be the best dad, the best husband, the best friend that I can be.
A legend gone, but a legacy still living.
So in the words of Kobe Bryant, Mamba out, but in the words of us, not forgotten. Live on, brother.
Joy Benedict, CBS News, Los Angeles. It is a moment decades in the making.
There he goes.
As young California condors get their first glimpse of the open sky from inside this flight pen at the Bitter Creek National Wildlife Refuge, 2 hours north of Los Angeles. It's their final stop before freedom. Mike Clark is the condor keeper at the Los Angeles Zoo.
You're letting your kids go into the wild, you let them go into the big city. But you have to let them go. That's the purpose of it. This is a California native bird. This belongs right in our backyard.
Clark has been a key part of the Condor recovery program for 30 years. And this year, it hatched one heck of a milestone. Bird number 1,000 reared his head inside a rocky cliff at Zion National Park. With a 9.5-foot wingspan, it is the largest bird in North America. Yet few have ever seen one.
In 1982, there were 22 birds in the wild, and by 84, that breeding population had dropped to 9.
Seemingly destined for extinction, biologists captured all surviving birds, and the breeding program at the LA Zoo was formed.
In the very beginning, since there were so few birds, we were really careful. We had everyone was on pins and needles. Every egg that hatched was worth its weight in gold.
At that time, keepers used hand puppets to raise them, but the chicks became too comfortable with humans.
Their curiosity is almost greater than their fear.
So the keepers backed off. Now 43 cameras keep watch over more than 24 birds. In the wild, condors might raise one chick every couple years. But here, when a condor lays an egg, keepers take it, prompting the bird to lay another. So Clark tried something never done before.
This is the adult female that reared these 2 chicks.
He wanted to know if a parent would foster more than one chick, so he approached a bird who knew him well.
And here is a sexually mature bird that's been breeding for years and years and years, raised tons of chicks with another bird. She sort of kind of got attached to me because I was the only one that she was interacting with.
So she fell in love with you?
Yes, and I her.
It was a wild success, and this year, for the first time ever, the chicks are all being raised in pairs. The zoo spends more than $500,000 a year trying to save this species, but the only condor visitors may see is Dolly, who arrived with a damaged wing they couldn't repair.
So you guys spend all this money on the California condor, but you don't have a condor exhibit at the zoo.
Yeah.
How come?
Zoos are changing. Zoos have gone from a place where you go to see animals to a place that does conservation locally and abroad.
And that brings us back to this fall day. 4 birds hatched last year are on the move. Off to their new home in the mountains where wild birds perch nearby, but so does danger.
Just hoping that you prepare them to survive.
Since the recovery program began, the condor only has a 50% survival rate. It's still threatened by hunting, lead poisoning, and hazards like power lines.
We call it the E-perch, the electric perch. And if the birds land on it, they get a little shock and they avoid it.
Clark is training the birds to stay away, but most of the juveniles already do because they're watching an older, wiser bird, a mentor placed with them.
The mentor already knows about the pole, never uses it. None of them even try it. So that tells you how important the mentor is.
And as a new flock is tagged and prepped for release, the keepers are hopeful.
Can you imagine walking out in your backyard and seeing a bird with a 9.5-foot wingspan sitting on your fence post?
A dream that every year gets closer to home as the lessons learned give this shadowy feathered flyer a chance to not only soar, but survive. Joy Benedict, Los Angeles.